Have you ever thought speaking English is hard? If so, you're not alone. Many people feel the same way, often held back by fear, insecurity, or the belief that they need perfect grammar and an extensive vocabulary to express themselves. But what if I told you that speaking English isn't as difficult as it seems? It's actually something you can achieve with ease when you approach it the right way. Let me share a story with you. Meet Sarah, a young woman from a non-English speaking country who once believed she could never confidently speak English. Every time she tried to have a conversation, she stumbled over words, felt embarrassed about her pronunciation, and often ended up staying silent. She thought she'd never be able to connect with others in English. One day, Sarah decided to change her mindset. Instead of focusing on being perfect, she focused on just speaking, mistakes and all. She started small, practicing simple phrases like "good morning" or "how are you" with her colleagues. She listened to English songs and repeated the lyrics aloud, even if she wasn't sure of every word. She began talking to herself in English while cooking or driving, building her confidence bit by bit. Within a few months, Sarah noticed a remarkable change. She could carry on conversations without constantly worrying about her grammar. People understood her, even if she made occasional mistakes. More importantly, she felt proud of her progress. Sarah realized that the key to speaking English wasn't about perfection. It was about trying, practicing, and communicating her thoughts clearly. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for Sarah, but can I really do it? The answer is a resounding yes. Talking in English is easier than you think, and I'm here to show you how. Like Sarah, all it takes is a right mindset and a willingness to start small. The first step is to stop overcomplicating it. Remember, English is just a tool for communication. You don't need to use fancy words or flawless grammar to make yourself understood. Think about how babies learn to talk. They don't start with perfect sentences. They use basic words and grow from there. You can do the same. Speaking English doesn't require years of study or expensive courses. It starts with using what you already know and building from there. Whether it's saying hello to a stranger, ordering food at a restaurant, or practicing short conversations with a friend, every little effort counts. So, let's break free from the fear and hesitation. Talking in English isn't something to dread. It's a skill you can develop step by step. And just like Sarah, you'll find that with practice and patience, you'll soon be speaking with confidence. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. Let's take that first step together and make English speaking easy and enjoyable. Why people think talking in English is difficult. For many people, the idea of talking in English feels intimidating. This perception stems from a mix of fears, misconceptions, and personal challenges that make the language seem harder than it actually is. Let's explore why this happens and how these barriers can be overcome. Common fears. One of the biggest reasons people find English difficult is fear. Pronunciation is often a major concern. Many learners worry about mispronouncing words and being laughed at. English has unique sounds, silent letters, and words that are spelled differently than they're spoken. For example, the words though, through, and thought can confuse even experienced learners. Grammar is another hurdle. English has many rules, exceptions, and nuances that can overwhelm learners. Questions like, should I say he has gone or he went? Or, where do I put the adverb in this sentence? Can create anxiety. Finally, vocabulary seems like an endless mountain to climb. With so many words and idioms, learners often feel like they don't know enough to hold a proper conversation. The fear of not having the right words can lead to hesitation and self-doubt. Misconceptions. Another reason English feels challenging is the misconception that fluency requires perfection. Many people believe they need to speak flawlessly, using perfect grammar and advanced vocabulary to be considered fluent. This mindset discourages them from even trying, as they feel they must master everything before they can start speaking. However, fluency doesn't mean perfection. Native speakers themselves make mistakes, use simple language, and often rely on context rather than precise grammar. The true goal of communication is to express your thoughts clearly, not to sound like a language professor. Personal story, a learner's struggles. Let's take the example of Ahmed, a university student from a small town who dreamed of studying abroad. Although he had a good understanding of written English, he found it nearly impossible to speak the language confidently. Whenever Ahmed tried to talk in English, he froze. He worried about mispronouncing words and struggled to recall grammar rules in the middle of a sentence. His classmates often teased him for his mistakes, which made him even more nervous. One day, Ahmed decided to change his approach. Instead of aiming for perfection, he focused on making himself understood. He started practicing simple sentences with a friend who was patient and encouraging. He watched English movies and repeated dialogues aloud, mimicking the actors. Within a few months, Ahmed noticed a big improvement. He could speak more freely, and his confidence grew. He realized that his fears and misconceptions were the real obstacles, not the language itself. Talking in English feels difficult because of common fears, unrealistic expectations, and past negative experiences. But by shifting your mindset and focusing on communication rather than perfection, you can overcome these challenges. Remember, mistakes are part of the learning process, and every effort you make brings you closer to fluency. The truth, talking in English is easy. Many people believe that speaking English is a daunting task, but the truth is, talking in English is much easier than it seems. The key lies in focusing on communication rather than striving for perfection. By shifting your mindset and adopting a few simple strategies, you can start speaking English with confidence and ease. Communication over perfection. One of the most common misconceptions about speaking English is the idea that you must be perfect to be understood. This mindset can make learners hesitant and fearful of making mistakes. However, the goal of speaking isn't perfection. It's effective communication. Consider this. Even native speakers don't speak perfectly all the time. They pause, use fillers like and occasionally make grammatical errors. Yet, they communicate their ideas effectively. Fluency is about being able to express your thoughts and engage in conversations, not about using advanced vocabulary or flawless grammar. When you prioritize communication over perfection, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure. You realize that it's okay to make mistakes because they're a natural part of learning. What truly matters is that the person you're speaking to understands what you mean. Simple steps to make talking in English easy. To make talking in English easy, you don't need complicated methods or expensive courses. Instead, follow these simple and practical steps. 1. Start with what you know. Many learners feel overwhelmed because they think they need to know every word and rule to start speaking. This isn't true. Begin with the words and phrases you already know. For example, if you want to greet someone, say, "Hello" or "How are you?" These basic phrases are enough to start a conversation. As you practice, you'll naturally expand your vocabulary and learn more complex sentences. Don't be afraid to use simple words to explain yourself. If you don't know the word delicious, you can say, "It tastes very good." If you forget the word umbrella, you can describe it as something that keeps you dry when it rains. Starting with what you know builds your confidence and encourages you to keep talking. 2. Think in English. One of the biggest obstacles to fluency is the habit of translating from your native language into English. This process slows you down and makes it harder to form sentences naturally. Instead, try to think directly in English. Begin with small steps. For instance, when you look at everyday objects, name them in English. When you plan your day, think about your tasks in English. Over time, your brain will get used to processing thoughts in English, making it easier to speak without hesitation. Thinking in English helps you respond more quickly in conversations and makes your speech sound more natural. 3. Use context to understand and speak. Context is a powerful tool for making English easier to use and understand. Often, you don't need to know every word in a sentence to understand its meaning. For example, if someone says, "It's raining, so take an umbrella," you might not know the word umbrella, but you can guess its meaning from the context. Similarly, in a restaurant, if a waiter asks, "Would you like a menu?" you can infer that they are offering you a list of food options. When you're speaking, context also helps you convey your message. Imagine you're at a grocery store and can't remember the word for cucumber. You could say, "I need the long, green vegetable for a salad," and the listener would understand. Using context allows you to communicate effectively, even with a limited vocabulary. It also reduces the pressure to memorize every word or phrase. The benefits of this approach: when you start with what you know, think in English, and use context, you'll find that speaking becomes much easier. This approach shifts the focus from trying to be perfect to simply expressing yourself. Over time, you'll notice significant improvements. Your vocabulary will grow as you use new words in real-life situations. Your confidence will increase as you successfully communicate with others. Most importantly, you'll enjoy the process of learning and speaking English. Talking in English is easy when you focus on communication rather than perfection. By starting with the words you know, thinking in English, and relying on context, you can overcome the fear and hesitation that often hold learners back. Remember, the goal isn't to speak flawlessly, but to make yourself understood. Every conversation you have in English is a step toward fluency. So, don't wait for the perfect moment or perfect knowledge. Start speaking today, and you'll see how easy and rewarding it can be. Strategies to make talking in English easier. Learning to talk in English can feel challenging, but the right strategies can simplify the process and make it enjoyable. By incorporating consistent practice and using modern resources, you can steadily build your speaking confidence. Here are some effective strategies to make talking in English easier and more natural. 1. Practice daily, even for a few minutes. Consistency is the key to mastering any skill, and English speaking is no exception. Set aside a few minutes each day to practice speaking. You don't need hours of study. Short, focus sessions are often more effective. For instance, practice greeting people in English, ordering food, or asking for directions. These everyday scenarios provide a practical way to use English in real life. If you're shy about speaking with others, practice aloud by reading a book or reciting phrases you've learned. Daily practice keeps your mind engaged with the language and helps you develop fluency over time. Think of it as a muscle. You need to work it regularly to strengthen it. 2. Listen and repeat. Listening is a critical part of learning to speak a new language. By exposing yourself to English through movies, songs, podcasts, or conversations, you will get familiar with pronunciation, intonation, and natural speech patterns. Choose materials that interest you. Watch your favorite shows or listen to songs you enjoy. Pay attention to how words are pronounced and try to imitate them. For example, pause a movie after a character speaks and repeat their lines aloud. This method, often called shadowing, helps you improve both your pronunciation and rhythm in speaking. Over time, it makes your speech sound more natural and fluent. 3. Speak to yourself. If you don't have someone to practice with, don't worry. Talking to yourself can be just as effective. Narrate your daily activities in English. For example, while cooking, describe what you're doing. I'm chopping vegetables, or now I'm boiling water. Another technique is to reflect on your day before bed. Speak out loud about what you did, your plans for tomorrow, or even your thoughts and feelings. Talking to yourself not only builds your confidence, but also helps you think in English, reducing the habit of translating from your native language. This will make your conversations smoother and more spontaneous. 4. Find a speaking buddy. Practicing with others is one of the most effective ways to improve your speaking skills. Find a speaking buddy, someone who is also learning English or a native speaker who can help you. You can join language exchange programs where you teach your native language in exchange for English practice. Alternatively, look for online groups or forums where learners connect to practice together. Speaking with a buddy provides real-time feedback and creates opportunities to use English in different contexts. It also motivates you to stay committed, as learning together is often more fun and engaging. 5. Use technology. In today's digital age, there are countless tools and apps designed to help you improve your English speaking skills. For instance, apps like Duolingo, HelloTalk, or Tandem connect you with native speakers or offer interactive speaking exercises. AI tools like virtual assistants or language chatbots can simulate conversations and provide instant feedback. You can ask them questions, practice responses, or even have casual chats to refine your skills. YouTube channels, podcasts, and online courses also offer valuable resources. Many of these are tailored for learners at different levels, ensuring you can practice at a pace that suits you. The power of combining strategies. While each strategy is effective on its own, combining them can accelerate your progress. For example, you can start your day by narrating your morning routine, speaking to yourself. Spend your lunch break listening to and repeating phrases from an English podcast, and end your evening with a conversation with your language buddy. Integrating these activities into your daily life ensures consistent exposure to English, making it easier to build fluency, overcoming common challenges. It's natural to face obstacles while learning to speak English. You might feel nervous about making mistakes or worry about your pronunciation. Remember, mistakes are a normal part of the learning process. They're proof that you're trying. Instead of aiming for perfection, focus on making yourself understood. Most people are kind and patient with learners, and your efforts to speak will often be appreciated. Talking in English doesn't have to be difficult. By practicing daily, listening and repeating, speaking to yourself, finding a buddy, and leveraging technology, you can make steady progress toward fluency. The key is consistency and a willingness to step out of your comfort zone. Each small step you take builds your confidence and brings you closer to your goal. So, don't be afraid to start speaking today. It's the most important step on your journey to mastering English. Real-life examples of success. Learning to speak English can feel overwhelming, But real-life examples prove that success is achievable with consistent effort and simple strategies. Let's explore the story of Sarah, a young woman who improved her English speaking skills remarkably by practicing every day and the straightforward method she used to succeed. Sarah's journey to fluency. Sarah was a 23-year-old student from a small town who moved to the city to pursue her career. Although she could understand basic English, she struggled to speak it fluently and often hesitated in conversations. Her lack of confidence made her nervous in social situations, especially during job interviews or presentations. One day, Sarah decided it was time to overcome her fear and work on her speaking skills. She set a clear goal: to practice English every single day, no matter how busy she was. At first, it wasn't easy, but her determination and simple strategies helped her make remarkable progress in just a few months. Daily practice and consistency. Sarah began by dedicating 15 minutes every day to speaking English. She didn't have access to formal classes, so she created her own routine, speaking to herself. She started narrating her daily activities in English. For example, while cooking breakfast, she would say, "I'm making an omelet," or "Now I'm cutting vegetables." This practice helped her get comfortable forming sentences without worrying about mistakes. Listening and repeating. Sarah chose her favorite English TV shows and watched them with subtitles. She would pause after a sentence, repeat it aloud, and mimic the pronunciation and tone of the speakers. This method improved her pronunciation and made her speech sound more natural. Using a speaking app. Sarah downloaded a language learning app that connected her with English-speaking partners. She practiced short conversations about everyday topics like hobbies, travel, and food. These casual interactions boosted her confidence and allowed her to learn from her speaking partners. The role of simple methods. Sarah didn't rely on complex or expensive tools. Instead, she focused on straightforward methods that were easy to incorporate into her routine. Speaking about familiar topics. She started conversations about things she loved, like her favorite books or places she wanted to visit. This made speaking enjoyable and reduced the pressure of finding the right words. Recording and reviewing. Sarah recorded herself speaking on her phone. Listening to her recordings helped her identify areas for improvement, such as pronunciation or sentence structure. Celebrating small wins. Each time Sarah completed a task, like speaking for 5 minutes without hesitation, she celebrated her progress. This positive reinforcement kept her motivated. The result, after 3 months of consistent practice, Sarah noticed significant improvements. She could hold conversations with confidence, express her thoughts clearly, and even participate in group discussions. Her newfound fluency helped her secure a better job and expand her social circle. Sarah's story proves that with daily practice and simple strategies, anyone can improve their English speaking skills. By focusing on small, manageable steps and staying consistent, you too can achieve fluency and unlock new opportunities. Remember, the key to success lies in starting today, one word, one sentence, one conversation at a time. Busting myths about speaking English. Learning to speak English is often seen as a daunting task. Many people believe they need to achieve perfection in vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation before they can even start speaking. These misconceptions hold learners back and make the process more stressful than it needs to be. In reality, speaking English is much simpler, and fluency is achievable with practice and the right mindset. Let's bust some common myths about speaking English and uncover the truth behind them. Myth 1. You need a big vocabulary to start speaking. One of the biggest misconceptions is that you need an extensive vocabulary before you can start speaking English. Many learners hesitate to speak because they feel they don't know enough words. This belief creates unnecessary pressure and delays progress. The truth is, you don't need to know thousands of words to communicate effectively. Even a basic vocabulary of 500 to 1,000 words is sufficient to start forming sentences and expressing yourself in everyday situations. For instance, words like want, need, go, eat, and help are foundational and can be combined to convey a wide range of ideas. Instead of worrying about learning complex or rare words, focus on mastering the ones you already know. Practice using these words in sentences and conversations. As you speak more, your vocabulary will naturally expand. The key is to start small and build gradually. Myth 2. Grammar mistakes are unacceptable. Another common myth is that your grammar needs to be perfect before you start speaking. This belief often stems from formal education, where students are heavily graded on grammar accuracy. As a result, learners become overly conscious of making mistakes and avoid speaking altogether. In reality, grammar mistakes are a natural part of learning any language. What matters most is that your message is clear. Consider how children learn to speak. They don't start with perfect grammar. Instead, they focus on getting their point across, and their grammar improves over time with practice. For example, if you say, I go market, people will still understand that you mean I'm going to the market. While the grammar isn't perfect, the message is clear, and that's what communication is about. Over time, with practice and feedback, you'll naturally start correcting these mistakes and speaking more accurately. The fear of making mistakes is a barrier to progress. Embrace your errors as opportunities to learn and grow. Remember, even native speakers occasionally make grammar mistakes. It's perfectly normal. Myth 3. Fluency requires years of practice. Fluency is often seen as an unattainable goal that takes years to achieve. This belief discourages many learners, making them feel like they'll never be good enough to speak confidently. However, Fluency is not about speaking like a native speaker. It's about communicating effectively and comfortably. Fluency develops naturally with consistent practice. It doesn't require years. It requires dedication and regular effort. For example, practicing for just 15 to 30 minutes a day can lead to noticeable improvements within a few months. The more you expose yourself to the language, through speaking, listening, reading, and writing, the faster you'll progress. A great way to develop fluency is by focusing on real-life conversations rather than perfection. Start with simple sentences and phrases you use daily, such as greetings, introductions, or asking for directions. Over time, as you gain confidence, you can move on to more complex topics. Remember, fluency is a journey, not a destination. Celebrate small milestones along the way, like holding a short conversation or expressing an idea without hesitation. These achievements will motivate you to keep going. How to overcome these myths. Now that we've debunked these myths, here are practical tips to help you embrace the truth about speaking English. Start speaking immediately. Don't wait until you feel ready. Use the words and phrases you already know to start communicating today. Focus on communication, not perfection. Prioritize making your message clear over speaking perfectly. People appreciate your effort and will often help you if needed. Practice regularly. Set aside a few minutes each day to practice speaking. Consistency is more important than long sessions. Learn from mistakes. View your errors as learning opportunities. Reflect on them and use them to improve. Expose yourself to English. Surround yourself with the language through movies, songs, podcasts, or conversations with friends. The more you listen and speak, the more natural it will feel. Speaking English doesn't have to be intimidating. You don't need a large vocabulary, perfect grammar, or years of practice to start communicating. The most important thing is to take the first step, focus on clarity, and stay consistent. Fluency is a gradual process that becomes easier with time and effort. By letting go of these myths and adopting a practical approach, you can make steady progress and enjoy the journey of learning English. So, stop waiting for the perfect moment and start speaking today. It's easier than you think. Encouragement and motivation. Learning to speak English can feel like a challenging journey, especially when self-doubt creeps in. However, it's essential to remember that you've already made more progress than you might realize. Every word you know, every phrase you understand, and every sentence you attempt is a step forward. And just like any skill, mastery comes with practice and persistence. Let's explore why you should feel motivated to keep going and embrace your learning journey. You already know more English than you realize. Often, learners underestimate how much English they already know. You might think, I only know a few words, but even those few words are the foundation for meaningful communication. For example, simple phrases like, how are you? Or where's the bus stop? are powerful tools that help you interact in real-life situations. Think about the English you encounter daily, whether it's in songs, movies, advertisements, or on social media. You've likely picked up more than you give yourself credit for. Even recognizing common words or understanding basic phrases is an achievement. Instead of focusing on what you don't know, celebrate what you do. Recognize your progress, no matter how small it seems. This positive mindset will boost your confidence and motivate you to continue learning. Every expert speaker was once a beginner. It's easy to look at fluent English speakers and feel intimidated, but every one of them started as a beginner. They, too, made mistakes, stumbled over words, and faced moments of doubt. What sets them apart is their persistence and willingness to practice. Imagine a world-renowned speaker or someone you admire for their English fluency. They weren't born knowing the language. They learned it step by step, just like you. They began with basic words and simple sentences, gradually building their skills through dedication and effort. You are on the same path. Each mistake you make, each sentence you attempt, and each new word you learn brings you closer to your goal. Remember, progress isn't always visible in the moment, but over time, your hard work will pay off. The power of small steps. Motivation doesn't have to come from massive achievements. It can come from small victories. Celebrate every milestone, whether it's successfully ordering a coffee in English, understanding a song lyric, or having a short conversation. These moments remind you that you're improving and that your efforts matter. Surround yourself with positivity and encouragement. Join communities of learners. Practice with friends, or even talk to yourself in English. The key is to stay consistent and believe in your ability to succeed. You've already taken the first step by deciding to learn English, and that's a significant achievement. Remember, you know more than you realize, and every expert was once where you are now. Stay patient, celebrate your progress, and keep practicing. With time and effort, you'll become the confident English speaker you aspire to be. You've got this. Let's start speaking English today. Learning English doesn't have to be intimidating. And the best way to improve is by starting today. So, here's your challenge. Say one sentence out loud in English right now. It could be as simple as hello, how are you, or I'm learning English today. The point is to take that first step, no matter how small it seems. By speaking out loud, you're building confidence and taking action toward fluency. Once you've said your sentence, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below or share your first English sentence with us. I'm excited to see your progress. Whether it's something simple or a little more advanced, every sentence is a victory. Let's build a supportive community where we can motivate and encourage each other. To help you on your journey, I've created a free guide to practicing English every day. It's packed with simple and effective tips that will help you practice English consistently and improve your speaking skills. Download it now to get started right away and keep making progress every day. Closing, you've got this. Remember, talking in English isn't just possible. It's easy when you focus on progress, not perfection. Don't worry about making mistakes or being perfect. The more you speak, the better you'll get, and each step brings you closer to your goal. So, keep practicing, stay positive, and most importantly, have fun along the way. And as the saying goes, the best way to learn a language is to speak it. So, let's start speaking today and make English a part of your everyday life. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more tips, resources, and motivational content to help you on your English learning journey. I'm here to support you every step of the way. Keep going. You've got this.